it's a burden on society, and I think, we've been the most locked up state in the world. There comes a time where we just need to move on with our life and just not look over our shoulder. And I feel like we've been looking over our shoulder for a long period of time. Even, last year when we came out of lockdown, there was always this fear that this could happen again.
Today on Dirty Linen, we are heading to Cafe Land, to Lux Foundry in Brunswick, which is owned by Daniel Amato. Melbourne is on the verge of reopening. And Daniel, are we feeling excited?
Yeah, very, very excited. Really looking forward to it.
Well, you're pretty used to reopening, 6 lockdowns in, and maybe, don't want to jinx it, maybe this is the last one. How are you feeling about reopening this time?
Yeah, look, really excited. I think we know what to expect. And I think it's, the right time of the year for us. The weather's great. And we've had a long time to prepare for this opening. So, yeah, I think the overall sense is of excitement and anticipation for what lies ahead. So.
I mean, if I think about going back out there again, one of the things that I definitely think about is coffee and breakfast with friends, maybe, a lunch with a lot of conversation. I mean, what are you expecting the atmosphere to be like?
Oh, look, I think it'll be a great atmosphere. Like I said before, it's the right time of the year from a weather perspective, and like given our space, we've got a really large courtyard that's fully seated. We seat up to 70, 80 people in its glory. So we're fortunate enough to open at full capacity with 50 out and 20 in. So, I dare say the atmosphere is going to be pretty electric, especially in the first few weeks, as was the last lockdown. It was overwhelming at times, the support that we got when we reopened. So I think it's going to be much of the same.
Oh, that's so nice to hear. When you say it was overwhelming at times, was that just like the love you were getting or the feeling in the room?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of both. I think it was the love that we're getting and the just people being so happy that you were able to open, and at the same time the volume of people that came back. I think we were one of the few venues in Brunswick that could open at full capacity last time, and it's the same this time. So, in the sense of, even a Monday or a Tuesday where we're normally, running at a slower pace, it was just, we'd have lines of people waiting for tables even during those times. So, that's what I meant by sort of overwhelming in that sense.
Wow. It's, it's so funny, I guess, in a way to think about lines outside cafes, as though they were clubs or concerts or new Nikes, some special edition sneaker.
I feel like a door person, at a nightclub, so having to take people's names and getting them to wait. But, most people were patient and, really appreciative of us being able to open. So.
What kinds of conversations and training have you been doing with staff? I mean, obviously there's always a compliance burden on hospitality, but it's a bit different this time. Can you tell me about that? Yeah,
we've started to run through the COVID safe plan, and we've been geared up for a while to ensure that people are checking in. So we've got means through our menu, and then also at the front door where people can check in. So that's something else that we'll need to monitor and police to some degree. So, that's some of the conversations that we've started to have. We've got some meetings later this week, just before we open, on some of the finer details, but and more around cleaning and cleanliness. But primarily, we're following the guide that's been given to us through the COVID safe plan, and just ensuring that we're across that.
I mean, do you anticipate that being difficult?
I'm not sure. I think the only difficulty will come in sort of hard conversations where people don't have a vaccine, and you might politely tell them to leave. So from a cleanliness perspective and following the COVID safe plan, I don't think so. Most of my staff are really experienced and been in the industry a long time, so and know how to deal with, 1, the volume, 2, the customers, 3, the check-in process, and also being able to maintain it in a clean, safe manner. So, look, it's completely different to how we used to operate 2 years ago, but we just need to adapt and move with the times and this is where we're at as an industry. If we want to open, these are the things that we need to follow and ensure that we're doing correctly for everyone's safety, not just our customers, but even our own staff. So.
Yeah. I mean, it's, when you do look at it from that perspective of how different things are to 2 years ago, I mean, it's really, we've been on such a big journey, haven't we?
Huge journey, huge learning curve. A lot of ups and downs, mentally, physically, even emotionally, having to tell staff that, especially casuals, that they're not working. It's not a pleasant thing to say and have to do. But, unfortunately, that's the world we've had to live in and pivot to take away and try to offer something to our customers that, we'll get them coming back during this time. That's probably been one of the hardest challenges, is trying to maintain positivity and optimism through this long process. It hasn't just been 1 or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. It's been, at times 10 to 12 weeks of lockdown. And there's nothing worse than seeing your business suffer through that and not see it in its full glory. Our place seats up to about 120 people. So, it's a really bustling place, especially on the weekends. There's a great atmosphere. And the space sort of speaks for itself. It's a beautiful building. We've been there 11 years. We're, become an institution in Brunswick in that sense, and people know what they're going to get. It's a fairly consistent operation now. And, that's been the challenge, I think, to see it and walk past it with so many empty seats, especially during dour winter. It's tough. It's tough to see your business in that light, and only see it as a takeaway option.
What have you done with your team, Daniel, during this period of hibernation to, I suppose, keep people looking forward and to keep a bit of positivity?
My manager and I, especially my manager, has constantly kept in contact with all our staff, whether it's the full-timers that have been in day to day or our casuals that haven't. So just checking in and making sure they're okay. And just, making sure that they're willing and able to come back when the time's right. So, we haven't lost too many, which is good. It's pleasing. A lot of our guys are sort of students and have sort of been in limbo as well from that perspective. So they haven't been able to go out there and look for work. So, we're close now. We're close to reopening, and majority of our team's able to come back and positive. It seems to be, a level of optimism that we won't go back into this ever again. And I think that's what the whole industry wants and needs. We've been hit pretty hard, as have other industries, but, hospo's done it pretty tough for a long period of time. So we just need some continuity. There's, nothing worse in business than not knowing what your next few months look like. And now it feels like we know what the next few months look like. It feels like with the vaccination level at a high rate and people following the rules that we can open and stay open for a long period of time, because we don't want to be here next winter and there might be another strain and we might have to do this all over again. I think mentally we're done in this capacity, and not just from being able to go out and dine. I think just in everyday life, you take kids at schools and stuff like that. It's just, it's a burden on society. And I think, we've been the most locked up state in the world. And there comes a time where we just need to move on with our life and just not look over our shoulder. And I feel like we've been looking over our shoulder for a long period of time. Even, last year when we came out of lockdown, there was always this fear that this could happen again. And, unfortunately it has.
Yeah, it's been a lot for all of us to carry, and business owners such as yourself, certainly more than a lot of people. I suppose, you can look at different areas of society, healthcare workers, obviously, other frontline workers that have really taken, the brunt of it. And, I really hope that you're right, and that we can just keep looking forward, not wondering and worrying about what's around the corner. Did you get caught up in the rule change this week in terms of all your staff needing to be fully vaccinated to attend work? What happened with you there? Oh,
look, we're fortunate enough that 95 probably, there's probably only one person that isn't double vaxxed, and they're in the process of getting their second vax. But I think, it's just the uncertainty of the comment coming out in a press conference, and then we've got to pivot and adjust to this new rule change. And even though the coronavirus website hasn't been updated, so again it's still a little unclear. And I would have thought 24 hours after the fact that would have been updated by now. So look, it is what it is. It's something that's been forced upon us. A lot of people will find this really challenging because, a lot of staff have been working towards what's been previously communicated, and that is that they had until the 22nd of October to have their first dose, and then by the end of November to have their second dose. So it does make it challenging for some businesses. We're fortunate enough to have the majority of our workforce double vaxxed, which is good.
Yeah. And I mean, thinking about continuity of business, one thing that I feel isn't quite clear is what happens if a case attends a premises, whether it's a staff member or a diner. Do you feel that you've got clarity on what happens if there's a case that comes to Lux?
Yeah, I think so. I think, it can. I think we could be put in a challenging position with unvaccinated people, but...
Well, even if they're not unvaccinated, I mean, there still could be someone who's vaccinated but, unfortunately still contracts COVID.
Yeah. Well, I think that's, unfortunately, it could be inevitable. And I think, given the number of cases that we're opening up to, it could be something that we will be attuned to. So I'm not sure. It's a real challenging one, I think, in the times that we're at, where we hope we can open safely, and you'd hope that anyone that has the symptoms stays away, and anyone that's positive stay away. But it's hard. Everyone's dealing with this in their own way. Some people don't feel they're sick and move on with their life and continue to operate. And this is probably why we're in this position now, where we are getting 1,800 to 2,000 cases a day, is because people are still out and about in the community. Look, I dare say it's going to happen. It's just going to be one of those challenges that we're going to have to face when and if it does cross our path. Yeah,
I think there is a certain amount of, you just got to put one foot in front of the other and look forward with optimism, don't you? Because if you're worried every moment about every breath that someone takes, you're not going to be able to do anything.
And this is the whole point. This is at least the whole point of us being vaccinated, because if we do come in contact with someone, I think the isolation period's less. I think the symptoms are less. So this does enable you to open with a little bit more clarity and confidence. And that was the point of getting to 70 and then 80% vaccinated. So,
so when I come to Lux, what am I going to have?
Oh, look, we do really good. Obviously, we're known for really good breakfast and lunch. But some of the breakfast items that we're sort of known for, we do some really great deep fried crispy eggs with a chili caramel jam. We've got some new dishes that we've been working on. We're doing a passionfruit panna cotta for breakfast. We're pivoted towards a Middle Eastern salad. We used to have a Middle Eastern breakfast on the breakfast side, but we're now incorporating a salad coming into summer. And some of the other new dishes is we're doing a cheese Kransky hot dog, which would be really interesting for us. But yeah, we're also known for really good coffee. We use Proud Mary and have been doing so for many years. So like I said before, we're a really consistent place with a good atmosphere. We've got a good team of staff, and I think that's what you can expect when you come to Lux.
I'm so excited, Daniel.
So am I.
You're just rolling out the experience for me. I can just see it before me. And I do love that big room that you got with lots of plants and real amazing views. And
the courtyard's really there's a strange story behind all our plants at Lux, and one of the panel beaters who has a business across the road over the past 10 years has slowly been planting different types of plants in our courtyard, and it's completely become like an oasis. He put a bird of paradise in that was minute, and now it's probably about I'd say 4 or 5 meters high. So it's become a real centerpiece of the place. It's it's become a really beautiful garden, and you can sort of we're off the beaten track, obviously off Sydney Road, and people just feel like they're escaping a little bit because it is so green and in some aspects tropical out there. So it's a good space. It's a really nice space.
Amazing. Well, I mean, congratulations on shepherding your very special cafe through 6 lockdowns, Daniel, and wish you all the best with reopening. I'm so excited to hear your optimism and energy and to hear about those new dishes. Go Melbourne.
Thank you. Appreciate the support. Thanks, Dani.
This is Dirty Linen, and I'm Dani Valent. We air the issues that the hospitality industry finds hard to talk about, hearing from different people with unique perspectives. We want to hear from you as well. If you have something that needs to be said about a topic, get in touch so we can include your perspective. Contact us at dirtyLinen@deepintheweeds.com.au or hit us up on Insta at Dirty Linen Podcast. We can't wait to hear from you.
This